you have on the cards that are being passed around is the concluding poem to Pestiferous Questions, Enlightenment Poems, which features Jessie Benton Fremont. Actually, there was just an article about her in the Atlantic Monthly, and there was an article about her husband, John Charles Fremont, in the New York Times. We're coming around to another election season, an election where issues of race and racism play a major role, and so people are looking back in history for comparable elections. And the election of 1856, the run-up to the Civil War, is one of them. John Charles Fremont was a candidate for president in that election, the first candidate of the Republican Party. But the poem on the cards asks the question, why Jessie? And the answer is, in 2009, double Dutch became a varsity sport in New York public schools. It requires at least 3, 2 to turn the rope, 1 or more to jump. History is a timeline. Those who do not know history leave it lying underfoot. We trip on it again and again. And we're facing that tripping line again, and that's why people are going back to the 1856 election and looking at what happened. So you have the conclusion to the book. Now you might like to know how we get to that conclusion. Jessie, I happened to be traveling in Arizona once, and I like to read about the place where I'm traveling, and I picked up a book at some historic site that was the letters of Jessie Benton Fremont. Her husband, John Charles Fremont, had been the territorial governor of Arizona at one time, and that's why the book was at this site. So I bought the book and I started to read it, and here's the story of how reading it entered into things I wanted to write about. The poem is called Let Me Not Misspeak. There's just one thing in here that might need a little explanation. It's the phrase immortal wife. It's the title of a fictional version of Jessie's life written in the late 1940s by Irving Stone. Irving Stone interpreted Jessie as being entirely devoted to her husband, and her whole life could be explained by this devotion. Yeah. Let me not misspeak. The letters of Jessie Benton Fremont. I opened the book to her letter dated 5 years after her marriage. On the page, a voice pleading with her husband, an undertone claiming my ear. How old are you? You might tell me now I am a colonel's wife. Won't you, old Papa? Poor Papa. I read fiction fashioned out of Jessie's story. The author, tone deaf, dedicates it to his wife as if she were Jessie's shadow, he and Fremont heroes, each she, thus reduced to an immortal wife. I tried to imagine a capital girlhood, daily guests for breakfast, for dinner, a small table in a separate room for children who misspeak. Having misspoken, she learns, prompt others, reply briefly, and smile. I visit the archives where in Fremont's grand leather-bound memoirs, her introduction celebrates the happy chance which made her the connecting link in our manifest destiny, as if it were all glory, as if there were no rifts between husband and father, no indigenous people displaced, no one lonely, hurting. I touch the gold leaf pages. They impress, but cannot convince me. Between the fragile pages of father and husband-centered history, I dig like crazy.